me go philosophical again for a second.
Sure.
Where's the line on that, right? Like, why 10%? Why not 20%? Why not 100%? If the idea is, and I get it, right? And I asked this question because I genuinely don't know.
Right.
It would seem like the more you give, the better, but there's obviously got to be some balance, I would think.
I would say you could start as small as you want, and then over the year you increase it. And then to talk about the balance part, you can give it all away, but you got a house, you got a car payment, you got your own life, you got to maintain it. And then you don't want to get to the point where you're just giving, away, then you are in a financial ruins if you're just giving away money. You still gotta have enough, be selfish, if you will, to where you're like, hey, I want to do better. I want to make sure I am taking care of myself. If you think about a point of view of, like, let's say a relationship, you have well, let's just say Jane and a Joe, right? Jane and Joe, and Jane, if is the person who likes to take care of herself and she's very independent, whereas Joe is like, I want to depend on you, and you are going to take care of everything for me. And then a relationship, well, in the beginning will be fine. Like Jane's like, oh, I feel good for you. You're the perfect person, blah, blah. And then later on, as month progresses, it's going to get to the point where Jane is going to start feel like, hey, I'm taking care of this guy. I don't know if I want that kind of relationship where he's just going to come to me every time. At the end of the month, I have to pay his bill. I have to take care of his food. I have to take care of his clothes, so on and so on and so forth, right? As compared to another one called, just pick another one, Frank and Jenny. Frank and Jenny, they're both independent. They both take care of themselves until their relationship will be healthier and they can both move forward together, and life will be better as compared to the first example. So if you be selfish enough to take care of yourself before you help somebody else, you have to take care of yourself. It's like, another example I could give you, like when you're on a plane, and they always tell you put the mask on yourself before you put it on somebody else.
Yeah. See, what's interesting though is, and the fringes always interest me because, again, what you're saying makes sense to me, but I can imagine, like, where's that line though? Where do you say, how do I know when I'm being too selfish with myself versus I'm going too far the other way? Because you can imagine a scenario where we can justify a lot of things, and we can convince ourselves of a lot of things. So figuring out how to walk that line on the right side of it seems to be a really difficult thing.
It was for me at the beginning, and that's where, if you really do the meditation part, because then it's going to get to the point where you have this internal voice. The internal voice will guide you. Some people call it God's voice. Some people call it my whatever, right? You can label it anything. Well, I just call it internal voice. Once you are in tune with yourself, you will never have self-doubt. You'll always have that gut feeling that's going to tell you do this. And once you do it, you're going to be feeling great. And there is no self-doubt whatsoever. So once you eliminate that self-doubt, you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And that's it. That's the only option I have.
Is there any concern there that when you eliminate all self-doubt, that you lose perspective on yourself and the ability to recognize if you maybe start to creep off the wrong way, or maybe you do start to make some mistakes?
Do you really want me to answer that? Because it's a really good question.
It's tricky, right? That's what I struggle with. Is that part of it?
It's not really tricky. It's depending on your perspective of how you look at it.
Okay.
If you look at it from a point of view, like if I do, let's say you're in the fork in the road, you can go left or you can go right. And I don't want to go to the left because I have the wrong mistake, right? Hypothetically speaking. But if you go to the right, that's the right end, whatever. So what I learned, took me a while to figure it out. Whatever I decided is the right choice for me at that moment in time. And if I get confused, which I have applied the last 2 years, it's like, hey, I will let the universe decide it. How do I do that? You could download an app or you can have a regular coin. You just flip it and you pick whatever head or tail for X or for the one for the other one. And whatever happens, that's what you're going to do.